Sometimes I do DIY stuff around the house. It's not perfect. I think it's all right. It's passable sometimes. But I'm actually going to get ready to do the grout in our shower. Well, redo the grout in our shower. You know, it's old, probably from the late 90s. It's falling apart. It's never been maintained. So I'm gonna work on that, fix it, make it look presentable, and then the long-term goal would be to redo the entire shower. So this is kind of like a stopgap until I'm ready to have the whole thing ripped out and redone. But I'll give you an idea. See, like it's not too bad from a distance, but if I start to get close, you're gonna start to see. But you know, there's a lot of gaps in here. So I've already started to tape it down. There's plastic out on the ground, so that on the shower pan, so that I'm covering it. I did this just so it'll be a little easier with cleanup. The tape's just to hold the plastic because plastic moves. There is also a piece of fabric over the drain, just in case. So I put them over that just to make sure that if something did get through, it's also still covering the drain. And you know, I'm gonna kind of get this started. And what I should mention, if you're gonna do this, you should probably have eye protection on. It does kind of shoot at you. I don't. Changing the blade because as you can see right here, there's still some of the grit. But since I've been going straight in, this is just smooth. So it's starting to just be a little more difficult. One thing I should probably mention to you, if you don't know, it's like I used the multi-tool, but they make, let's see, it'll focus, like little hand tools, like little grout saws. This used to have sharp teeth on it, but it'll help you get into like the corners or if there's a tight spot you can't get to. They work surprisingly well, but if you have to do your whole shower, a whole session with it, that'll take you forever. It'll be a nice workout for whatever arm you're gonna use. I'd use multi-tool. All right. So you can see now, it's gone. Like, next step is I gotta start wiping everything down. I'm not gonna show you guys how I'm going to wipe a wall down. It's just, like I said, damp cloth, wipe down, make sure it's dry, and then I'll be back for the next step. So I just wiped it down, if you can't tell. A little sweaty now. Some of those little black mark areas, you'll see, some of those are just the indentations from taking the grout out. Some of it is actually just a little bit from the grout blade, just as it scrapes up and down because the oscillating tool is kind of a vibrating back and forth really fast kind of thing. But once you put the grout on, it'll cover them right up because they're right in the grooves. And honestly, for the most part, you can kind of wipe them off too, at least in my experience. I took a damp cloth, took that, I wiped out the whole wall up and down, side to side. I did it twice. When I was done, I then went through with a microfiber cloth and just kind of dried the whole thing down. The purpose of that was, like I said, to dry it down, but it also hopefully will remove any of the random grout bits that are still there because they're all kind of sandy and dry, and the new grout won't adhere to it that well. So we want to take care of that. I'm actually using a grout. It's a it's a premix because I'm lazy. Like I said, not a pro. I think many of us that DIY are probably going to use premix. But I'm using what is basically a grout alternative. So it's I have no idea, MyPay, MapHat, I have no idea, FlexiColor CQ. So you can see ready to use grout with color-coded quartz. So basically, I don't love it, but this is just a kind of a match for what I'm doing right now. This kind of has like a sanded texture to it. It's not actually sand. It's the quartz that's in it. It actually is designed to help it dry faster, dry sturdier. It's supposed to be very DIY friendly. I will admit, and you're gonna see it, I think it's hard to work with, but it does do a good job when you're done. But if you look here, this is what the finished result looks like on it. Kind of has a sandy appearance to it still. So if you don't want that look, you can get other stuff. I think Home Depot sells the Custom brand. That's just the name of the brand, Custom, or Custom Builders or something, which is a premix grout that you can get if you want that without the sand. There are different colors, you know, like gray, white, dark gray. I personally advise against white. The reason I advise against like a true white is because over time it'll stain and yellow, or at least it can, and I just don't want to deal with that. So this is biscuit, I believe it said, to match what was already there. All right, so let me get myself set up. Basically, I gotta use this grout. This is a sponge, grout sponge, which I'll use all the way at the end. This is basically to help me wipe down everything to get the grout that's going to be on the tiles off, so it kind of removes the hazing. This is a grout afloat. So this is basically what I'm gonna use to kind of force the grout into all those cracks, and you kind of just slide it over to get everything in. They do sell various versions of these. I have like a really cheap one somewhere else. This is a little more of a comfortable one to use. It's got a bit of padding, put a little more force into it. I'm also going to use a bucket, which you can tell is not filled yet. But I'm going to fill it with some warm water. That way, as I go through, I have an ability to clean the grout. The grout dries pretty quickly to a point where it'll stick to you. If I were you, I'd recommend wearing gloves, like nitrile gloves, probably fine. That way you can just kind of keep it off your hands, it'll be way easier. Otherwise, it's gonna feel like you're washing some mint off of your hands later. I've learned that less is easier to work with this stuff. It doesn't stick to the wall as easily as like a traditional mixed grout would, or probably even like the others that are non-sanded and not like this grout replacement. Okay, moving forward. So, bucket. Now there's warm water on it. Got this grout. Got my float. Let's get some gloves on. I feel like I had stuff dry in my hand before, and then I don't know, one of the people I'm not going to my hands. And this is absolutely the part of this whole process where someone's gonna be like, "Oh, you suck. You should have done it that way. Here's a better way to do it." Because this is not my strength right here. So this is what, I mean, it comes up higher when it's new, but this is what it looks like. There's this sheet of plastic. You want to leave it here. It keeps the moisture in so that it doesn't dry out. You're also not really supposed to add water to it. One thing I have kind of learned with this stuff is you might want to wet your float. So I usually just, let's see, dip it in the bucket, get the float nice and wet so you can see it's dripping. But I would do the whole float. That way it'll glide over the tiles easier, and you'll have a better chance to get this on without making a giant mess. My guess is though that you're going to see a bunch of globs start falling down on the floor, which is also another reason I have the plastic down. Alright, so I put that in. I made a mess. I'm sure you saw me make a mess. See? It just kind of ends up all over. And then after, especially if you take a while like I did, it starts to adhere. So the next thing I had to do is use a grout sponge and start getting the haze off. A bucket of new water ready. My sponge is in there. You can see the walls a mess. The next step is to use that sponge and very lightly start scrubbing over it without a lot of water. If you use a lot of water, the stuff's gonna run. You don't want that. You're just working on getting rid of all the excess grout. That'll get rid of the grout. It'll also require you maybe to do another pass later if there's any kind of hazing, and you'll know if there's hazing. It's gonna be pretty obvious. Basically, it's just gonna look like there's a sheen over it or something. That's not what you want. I don't know if this is true or not, but I've always learned from the old guys that in the planes, so you see where the tiles are meeting, with my hand where you see it, tiles are meeting up and down, tiles are meeting, use caulk. So you'll notice this is caulk. Use caulk instead of the grout. Now if you don't like this white, you could use color match caulk. They make it. I'm just not ripping out all this caulking because I don't have to. I think we're there. So there's some areas that maybe could be a little better, but they're all filled in. And as you can see, I cleaned off all of the tiles. You want to do that. If you don't, it gets harder and harder and harder to remove. I mean, by the hour, but if you wait a couple days, it'll be very difficult to get off. You might have to scrape it. You don't want that. It sucks. But anyway, we're done. I'm exhausted. I have to clean up.